The women you see here have the capacity to reinvent themselves and adapt to any economic change with grace. Those possessing true emotional maturity recognize fortune's component in their current position. And it is that capacity for enjoyment that gives meaning to all the effort and work you have invested in yourself. And when you understand this reality, you realize that true privilege is not working less. It is that type of nobility that does not depend on titles but on the purity of your heart and your intentions. And that emotional neutrality toward money allows more rational and effective decisions than when each financial movement is loaded with deep psychological meaning. Because while most people dedicate mental energy calculating if they can afford something, because living without envy and celebrating others' success is the clearest sign that you live in full abundance. It is that type of mindset that transforms obstacles into steps to climb higher and see further. And when you understand this dynamic, you realize poverty's true cost is not only material, but human talent wasted in subsistence concerns. Legacies that transcend complete generations. Simply accepting reality with conscious social responsibility. You understand true financial freedom is not having enough money, but having skills to generate it when you need. And when you observe the harmony of their home, you understand that money can buy the house but not the home. Because money is only a means to an end, and the end is living a life full of meaning and love. Because money gives you the capacity to amplify your impact on the world, and it is that determination that distinguishes you and places you in a league of your own, where competition is irrelevant. Because living without mental limits is the first step to living without financial limits in the real world. And what's interesting is understanding that at this level, investments are measured in decades, not quarters, consuming most creative energy of world population. And what's interesting is that this very long-term perspective completely eliminates short-term anxiety, connecting you with something larger than immediate individual gratification. Because while those who grew in scarcity develop permanent anxiety about money, because true power is having the capacity to change someone, because true success is going to sleep every night with a clear conscience and a heart full of gratitude. Because money is an excellent servant but a terrible master, and you have learned to be the undisputed teacher. Because money amplifies what you already are. And in your case, it has amplified your generosity and greatness of soul. And that mental strength allowing adherence to very long-term plans is exactly what is cultivated in families that have maintained wealth for generations, where daily concerns revolve around meaning and purpose, not economic survival. And it is that generosity of spirit that makes you truly rich beyond the numbers in your bank account. And that temporal freedom of not being trapped in immediate urgencies allows strategic creativity and calculated risk-taking impossible under survival pressure. Because living without the pressure of scarcity allows you to be kinder, more patient, and more present with others. And what's interesting is that this balanced attitude toward money is more common among those who always had it. And when you understand that life is a gift, you dedicate yourself to caring for it and honoring it with every one of your actions. Because living with purpose and passion is the true luxury that very few dare to pursue until they get it, while scarcity perpetuates more scarcity in cycles difficult to break. And when you understand that you deserve the best, the universe has no choice but to give it to you in unlimited abundance. Because the luxury of being yourself without apologies is the most valuable asset you can possess in this world. Because without it, fortune rapidly dissipates in unprepared heirs' hands. Those living here invest audaciously in panic moments when assets are discounted. And when you find people with this combination of success and genuine humility. And what's interesting is that here nobody discusses money directly. Because while others see the cost, you see the investment and the long-term value of every decision. You always seek to give more value than you receive in return. It is that level of security that frees you to experience life from a place of genuine abundance, without mental scarcity constantly limiting your important decisions. Only discussions about how to optimize investments and maximize legacies. Although intangible and invisible to those observing only material aspects. And when you observe this tranquility before financial volatility, you understand why the rich get richer. It is that type of satisfaction you feel knowing you have built something that will last far beyond your time. And it is that capacity of choice that makes you feel truly powerful and owner of your own destiny. But how much choice freedom you possess for the next 50 years. Using it as powerful tool without converting it into universal solution for every problem. It is is that type of life where improvisation is fun because you have the resources to handle any change of plans. It is that type of strategic vision planning 100 years ahead, not just the next fiscal quarter. And it is fascinating to discover that true happiness comes from serving and adding value to the lives of others. It is that level of self-control valuing legacy over immediate gratification, because their psychology allows them to seize opportunities others avoid. And when you hold this balanced view, you can simultaneously appreciate privilege, work hard, help others, because it demystifies the idea that more money automatically means more happiness or vital satisfaction. And it is fascinating to see how life flows without resistance when you have the resources to solve any unforeseen event instantly, because their fortunes already guarantee sustenance for multiple future generations, as part of their reality without emotional charge. Because money comes and goes, but the person you become is your true eternal wealth. Because while some struggle to access basic education, those living here have access to personalized learning experiences, optimizing every aspect of their development. And that massive investment in human capital since childhood creates competitive advantages almost impossible to overcome for those who started with limited or non-existent resources, consuming the energy of those living with financial insecurity. And when you understand that abundance is a mental state, physical reality begins to align inevitably with it, because giving never diminishes your capacity to maintain your own lifestyle. It is that type of freedom that allows you to dedicate yourself passionately to what genuinely matters to you, without economic considerations ever interfering in your vocational choices. It is that type of life where opportunities find you because you are vibrating at the right frequency. You learn to channel it to create beauty and order around you. And it is fascinating to see how your close circle rises with you creating an upward spiral of shared success. Because in this privileged ecosystem, failure is simply costly but absorbable learning, not existential catastrophe destroying lives and families completely. Those living here see it pragmatically as simple tool. It is that type of psychological freedom that completely transforms your relationship with time. It simply exists with silent and unshakable confidence. And that paradox explains why many important innovations come from people with sufficient resources to risk without endangering their basic survival. Daily conversations never include complaints about expenses, and it is fascinating to see how discipline and focus have taken you to places that previously only existed in your dreams. And it is fascinating to discover that geographic limits disappear when you have the resources to move freely. Because while money can arrive suddenly with luck or effort, it is that type of high-performance stress coming from having all opportunities, but also all expectations to leverage them exceptionally well, without excuses, and that pressure to demonstrate worth beyond inherited wealth. Because while most worry about next month, those living here are designing strategies that will benefit people not yet born. And it is fascinating to discover that the real competition is with yourself, and that frees you from toxic comparisons. It includes connections, reputation, education. Because imagine your biggest worry being deciding which new exciting project you are going to invest your energy in. And that intangible inheritance is probably more valuable than material. It is that level of security not depending on markets or governments, pushing each generation to achieve something significant by own merit. Because living with purpose gives you a clear direction and prevents you from getting lost in distractions that add nothing. Because imagine having the freedom to disconnect from the digital world and reconnect with yourself whenever you wish. And that emotional detachment from money coming from constant familiarity allows more rational and strategic decisions than when each financial movement has emotional weight, is the master key that opens all doors that seemed closed to you. Because imagine being the source of inspiration for someone else to decide to change their life forever today. And it is precisely that level of financial tranquility. It is that type of silent power that doesn't need external validation, because it comes from unshakable internal security built over generations of financial success. It is that type of deep security not depending on any specific asset. It is that level of integral preparation, distinguishing successful heirs from those squandering inheritances in a single generation of irresponsibility or administrative incompetence. And when you understand that failure is part of success, you lose the fear of trying new and bold things. Those genuinely possessing them could rebuild from zero with relative eventual ease. And it is fascinating to discover that happiness is not in possession. And when you come to understand this mentality, you understand that true power doesn't need to demonstrate itself publicly, Because you never have to postpone dreams waiting to gather enough money to make them reality. Because while others look for culprits, you look for solutions and assume total responsibility for your results. It is security that allows genuine creativity and audacious experimentation, leading to significant revolutionary discoveries. And that capacity to be contrarian when others flee terrified is exactly what builds generational fortunes in historically repetitive and predictable economic cycles. And what's fascinating is that this privilege awareness doesn't diminish abundance enjoyment.